KIPP has intentionally created an environment where there are very passionate people who believe in the power of children, and that's the reason that we're all here every single day. Good morning, American University. Good morning, Mr. Very impressed at how he came in this morning. We have lots and lots and lots to do today. We're gonna start out today with our Literature Circle Share Out. From day one, our premise here at the KIPP Truth Academy in our ELA classes has been, if you put a rigorous text in front of students and you give them the skills and the accommodations that they need to understand it and be successful, they will. They will rise to that challenge and they will meet it. So we're gonna start right now with our Literature Circle Share Out. And before we do, I wanna just review a couple of expectations. The objective for today's lesson was to be able to complete both a Literature Circle Share Out, building comprehension of the chapter that they had read, and then complete a character analysis using the Steele template to make an inference about how that character either changes themselves or impacts the story or another character. If you're the one who is speaking for 2 minutes, what are some things you want to make sure that you're doing this morning to make sure you and your teammates are being successful? Track to Brianna.
Speak louder.
Yes, you must speak in a loud and clear voice. Literature Circle is a student-led novel study. The advantages of it are it really truly puts the learning on the shoulders of the students, and that is pushing them to be strong, independent readers, but then also strong in their analytical skills because they have to be able to share about what they read. If you're one of those people who's listening to somebody present this morning, what is it that you want to make sure that you're doing while somebody else is speaking? Track to Abel.
You want to track.
Why do you want to track?
So you could hear what they're saying and to show respect.
Right. You want to track so that you're showing respect and listening to what they're saying. The books that we chose were based on material, interest level, and then their lexile. So they're all written right around middle to 5th grade reading level, and they're all of high interest level stories for 5th graders, and especially 5th graders here living in South Dallas. You're gonna have 2 minutes to share as much as you can about your chapter. Talking about anything and everything you remember from the chapter. Get it, got it good? Yeah, good. Awesome. So there's 5 jobs. The first job is the summarizer. They're in charge of hitting all of the major points in the chapter. The second person, the visualizer, is in charge of picking the best setting of that chapter. The third person is our inferencer, sort of the more in-depth analysis of how characters are interacting in the chapter. The fourth person is in charge of picking out a symbol. They're the symbolizer. The fifth person is the word detective.
Yolanda, she turned the 2 fancy pens. She was maybe snack.
Did she mean that she had fancy pants? Yeah. What was she doing to her? What do you call it when you say something that sounds kind of nice, but you might not mean it to be so nice?
Sarcastic.
Maybe sarcastic, right.
The big idea I chose was when Webb called in and Toby does not want to answer because he's afraid and does not know what to say to him.
Why doesn't he want to go to the funeral?
Because he afraid of Cal might be there.
Okay, he's afraid Cal might be there.
And he don't want Cal to know that he wrote a letter to Wayne.
Very good. I'm glad you drew that out.
Another tricky word was decorum.
Nice word, David.
Page number 69. The sentence that it has word, it was the dog was decorum.
Go ahead and grab those exit tickets and begin working on them. Make sure your name, date, and college pride is at the top. Once they understand the chapter, we then do a brief exit ticket to basically test comprehension and analysis. It's my way of seeing, do they understand what they're reading? We've practiced a lot in how to go back through and finding text evidence, which has made a huge difference for them and their accuracy on the exit ticket. A lot of times being able to read a chapter doesn't necessarily carry over to their immediate memory, not being able to pull that straight forward in that moment. But then I can say, well, go and find it. And they're like, oh, Yeah, I remember it was on page 67, and they can actually go back and look through it. I'm not looking to see if they can remember every detail of a 16-page chapter. I want them to know where to go find the information. That's a very lifelong reading skill. Go ahead and take your literature circle jobs packet. Go ahead and put that away inside of your binder. After I collected the exit tickets, I then distributed the STEAL templates. STEAL stands for 5 things. What's the first thing that it stands for? What's that first letter? Stephanie?
Says.
Says, very good. Everybody show me your says hand sign. Show me your says hand sign. Nice. What the character says. The STEAL template is what we use to do a deeper analysis into one character. And so we look at 5 things that that character does. STEAL is an acronym. It stands for what they say, what they think, their effects on others, their actions, and then their looks. Now, last week we did this on our own. Today, you guys are gonna have a chance to find something as a group. So here's how it's gonna work. You're gonna start by finding an example of what the characters say. What are you looking for in the book that helps you know what a character is saying? Sir? Quotation marks. Very good. Everybody show me your quotation marks. Little air quotes. You also want to include something specific about that quote. Avian. How they say it. If they're mumbling it, if they're shouting it, if they're saying it nervously. They're building their understanding of the character, and they're building their evidence base, sort of like what you would do if you're writing a research paper. Finding the quotes, finding the sources to back up what you're going to claim later on.
I don't say anything, I just concentrate on spreading my butter over my roll. Page 163.
What quote did you guys just pull out? What do you say when you're best friends?
We got that and they got some.
I love that idea. I want you to make sure that you're saying that when we come back together full group, all right? I don't say anything. All of these are awesome. There's so many thoughts he has in this chapter. It's a little tricky because you've got kids working on 3 different books, but you can still have a whole class conversation because they're all looking for similar things in their books. What quote did you guys find between Miguel and Elena?
Do you get it, Elena? We never needed to wait. You never needed to pretend anything.
Ah, do you get it, Elena? We never needed to wait. Interesting. He sounds kind of upset in this moment. So we got some really good text evidence of Miguel and Elena having this kind of argument in this chapter. We've spent a lot of time in this unit working on developing our speaking skills, something that some of my students really are not comfortable with, the ability to speak confidently and clearly about an academic topic, and the chance for them to share both in their literature circles and to share whole group with what they wrote is a really meaningful opportunity for a lot of them. Do we have a volunteer who would like to stand up and read their entire STEAL paragraph? Let's go ahead and track to Brianna.
I can infer that Toby decides to go to the ball arena than to go to Wayne's funeral. When Toby does this, it impacts how he does not handle sadness. Because when his mom called, she said she doesn't like sadness either, and Toby did not want to go to the funeral.
It's a way to really capture their thinking in a very thought out process. Step 1, show your evidence. Step 2, come to some conclusion. 3, apply that conclusion to draw another conclusion about that character in the chapter. Awesome, awesome work pulling out those text evidence examples of each of these 5 character actions, and then some really great conclusions about what these characters are feeling or thinking in these chapters. I've enjoyed the learning. Every day I have a student run up to me, can I get the next chapters of the book? Why do we have to stop reading today? And that's just been a really powerful moment because a lot of these kids haven't had positive experiences with reading. It's challenging for kids. And so it's really cool to see these students wanting more because they believe that they will be successful with it.